People who watch security cameras for a living. What creepy things have you tried to forget? Part 2. The closest to a horror movie in real life thing I've ever seen. Some of the patients' room in our hospital on the psych floor have cameras to help monitor patients, so they don't move around too much or hurt themselves since they are often confused, etc. Obviously, the night vision low light camera makes everything look creepy. One night, a phlebotomist came running out of a room totally freaking out. We looked at the camera footage to see what had happened. Patient was an old lady. Video shows a dark, empty room. The phlebotomist walks in and sees that the bed is empty and thinks they must have moved the patient. At that point, as she turns around, the door swings, and standing behind the door looking at her with what I can only describe as pure hatred in her eyes is the patient, naked, with her long hair down to her waist. The phlebotomist was scared as anyone would be. She finally managed to say, "Mrs. Shelby, I'm from the lab and I'm here to draw some blood. Is that okay?" And the patient just said, "No, get out." Phlebotomist didn't need to be told twice. We walked over to the room and the old lady was back in bed, sleeping as peaceful as could be, never remembered a moment of it. Worked security in one of the larger financial buildings in downtown Toronto a number of years back as a control room operator. The complex has hundreds of cameras monitoring the inside and outside of this building, and I spent most of my 12-hour day and night shifts just people watching. It is honestly pretty amazing what people do when they don't think they are being watched. A lot of parking lot sex on weekends, for example. During a night shift, I've witnessed someone walk through the PATH system, underground tunnel system connecting many Toronto buildings, covered in blood with an eye popped out, someone eating their own toenails, some following others while discreetly touching themselves, etc. One of the weirder, creepy ones though was a man walking through the building in the dead of night before lockups, slowly carrying a single balloon. That one got to me. I worked for a Christian-based university for security for a brief period. It was easy. 90% of the job was unlocking doors for people. I was working a Friday night shift and noticed a couple in the sitting area of the lobby, which is a common place to see couples lounging around. I only started watching them because I could tell they were in an argument. I could tell it was getting loud, so I thought I should walk over there and tell them to calm down. It was a small university, so I was the only guy on duty. When I got there, the security office was maybe a 5-minute walk. He had left, and she was hunkered in the corner near the steps. I calmed her down and asked her what had happened, and she said nothing, just an argument. I did notice her face was red and thought it was from crying, and I walked her to the security car and drove her to her dorm and dropped her off. When I got back to the office, I rolled the video back and copied it, and saw that he had punched her in the face and kicked her on the ground several times. I called my boss, which is what we're supposed to do. He took the copy of the video, and you know what? The university actually did something about it. They kicked him out, which I was surprised about, but he got back in after his parents lawyered up and the girlfriend confessed that she agitated him to the point of violence. He got back in. Life went on. They probably got married. It could have been nothing, but it's definitely something that's given me an uneasy feeling whenever I think about it. We do temporary cameras for sites while they're in construction, and this particular camera was set up parallel to the perimeter, so you could also see the footpath and up the road a bit. So this one night a few months ago, at about 11 p.m., I see a woman, probably 20s to 30s, walking down the footpath. It's obvious she's just walking home from work or something, and isn't trying to breach the site. So I go to close it when I notice she keeps looking back at something as she's walking. I give it a few more seconds, and then there's a silhouette of what looks like a man wearing a hoodie crossing the road to the side of the footpath she's walking down. She then starts to speed up and jogs past the camera out of view, while the guy behind her starts to run the same direction after her until he's out of view as well. After a few minutes of debate, I called the police to hopefully get someone to even just drive by and check it out, but we never heard back about it. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ooh, relevant. I actually do watch security cameras for a living, for a high-rise in a big old city. Here's the creepiest thing. One floor in my building, every Halloween, like a dozen of the folks in the company that work there do a big group Halloween costume. One year it was presidents. One year it was different characters from the same TV show. So the Halloween I'm watching the cameras, not really thinking about Halloween. I glance at the elevator cameras to see an elevator door open, and a dozen women all dressed like the Grudge ghost enter the elevator at once. It spooked me for a second. To be honest, the creepiest real thing you ever see are unsettling looking people carrying around lengths of chains or pipes or other unidentified weapons and swinging them around while screaming maniacally. Happens every so often overnight. Mental health care for the homeless is pretty much non-existent. Very frequently, we see drunk people leaving nearby bars at night and stopping to piss on the side of the building. Infrequently, couples will stop for a BJ or a quickie. Crazy people will get naked once or twice a year. The absolute worst thing I've ever had to see was a guy walking around a small, somewhat inaccessible outdoor area, suddenly turn around, drop his pants, and begin shitting with such an insane quickness that the image of this man's poop leaving his butthole will forever be ingrained in my memory. I hate it so much.